Hey guys, it's John from Physical Living, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to do bodyweight rows with excellent technique. Bodyweight rows are also commonly called inverted rows, and body rows, and Australian pull-ups, and horizontal pull-ups. A lot of different names actually, but they all describe the same basic exercise, which involves a horizontal pulling movement with your upper body, where you're using your body weight as the primary means of resistance. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can do it with your feet flat, your feet extended, your feet elevated to make it a little bit harder. You can use a set of parallel bars like I have here, or a straight bar, edge of a heavy-duty table, something that's not going to tip over or break when you are pulling on one side of it, or a suspension training system, probably my top choice if you have rings or a TRX or blast straps or something like that. That's another great tool for doing it. But this is a great exercise. I consider it a strength and conditioning staple, something that most people who are interested in their fitness should be using from time to time. It's also a great exercise because it can accommodate a wide range of conditioning levels. You can adjust the angle of your body, how much weight is on your hands versus on your feet to change the challenge. And so I really like bodyweight rows. And in this video I'm going to teach you how to perform them with optimal technique, because in my experience most people, they have a little bit of room for improvement when it comes to rowing and pulling exercises in general. And when it comes to bodyweight rows, you definitely want to make sure you're doing the technique properly, especially if you want to be able to train for the long term and not get injured, and just maximize your results and your progress, which we're all interested in. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through it from top to bottom. We'll start with the grip. And so the main things with the grip is that you can employ different grips. You can use an overhand grip on a straight bar, or at the edge of a table if you have it. You can use an underhand grip, which will adjust the area of the musculature that gets targeted. Generally, overhand grip is going to be more of your the outside of your back, your lats. Underhand grip is going to involve your biceps a little bit more. My favorite grip is definitely the neutral grip, where your palms are facing one another. You can do that with a suspension training system or a set of parallel bars like I have here. The other thing with the grip is that you want to make sure that your wrists are hanging vertically from whatever you're gripping. You don't want your wrists to be flexed, and you don't want them to flex even a little bit. I see a lot of guys flexing their wrists at the top range of motion, and you want to avoid that. You want to keep your wrist neutral throughout the full range of motion. That's going to be the strongest position, the most stable and most efficient position. But you can use different grips, neutral grip, overhand or underhand, and it will change which musculature is targeted, or at least it'll shift the emphasis to different areas of your arms, your shoulders, and your back musculature. It's the most rowing, all rowing exercises are primarily back musculature exercises. That's what's going to be the prime movers, and the bodyweight row is no exception. You're really targeting your mid and upper back musculature, your shoulders, and to a lesser extent your arms. So that's your grip. With your elbows, you want to make sure, the main thing to keep in mind is making sure that they stay in tight towards your sides. So you don't want them flaring out sideways here. You want to keep them in tight towards your center line. So as you're rowing upwards, you want to keep your elbows right next to your ribs. And when you get to the very top, your elbows should be fully flexed and pointing behind you. When you get to the very bottom position, your elbows should be fully extended, locked. You don't want to just come down part ways, partially, and then go back up. You want to really get that full range of motion at the elbow joint. Make sure you achieve that full lockout in the bottom position. But the main thing, keep in mind, full flexion at the top, full lockout in the bottom, and keep your elbows in tight towards your center line, so that they're not flaring out to the side and leaking energy and putting extra strain on your elbows. With your shoulders, there's two things I want you to focus on. One is keeping them packed down and stabilized on your torso. I don't want your shoulders to shrug upwards. I want them to stay down on your torso, and so it's kind of the opposite of a shrug. You're not shrugging upwards, you're shrugging downwards onto your torso. And I want you to maintain that throughout the full range of motion, with one exception. So when you're in the very bottom position, you can allow your shoulders to unpack and to relax a little bit. You don't want to get super loose here and be just hanging out on your connective tissues. You want to stay somewhat activated, but you can allow your shoulders to slide off of your ribs, and that's an important part of the exercise. But the main thing to keep in mind is when you're here, when you're performing reps, you don't want to be falling into this bottom position. You want to control that slow descent so that when you do get to the bottom and you do unpack your shoulders, it's done smoothly, under control. But you can unpack the shoulder in the bottom. In the top position, you want to make sure that your shoulder blades are packed and fully retracted. So you're pinching your shoulder blades together when you're in the top position of the bodyweight row. And those are the two main things to keep in mind. Keep the shoulders packed throughout the full range of motion, with the possible exception of relaxing them at the very bottom position. And in the top position, fully retract your shoulder blades. Pinch them together when you're in that top position. That's how you achieve a full range of motion in this exercise. So that's your shoulders. When it comes to your spinal alignment, the general recommendation is keep your spine lengthened in both directions, from the crown of your head to the tip of your tailbone. Basically, you just want to avoid any major deviations from a straight, flat back. You don't want your lower back to be super arched, and you don't want your upper back to be really rounded. You want to maintain a neutral spine throughout the full range of motion. You don't want your neck to be extended backwards or flexed really high forwards. You just want a relaxed head on the top, and you want to kind of focus on keeping your tailbone slightly tucked to lengthen out your lower back. So again, you don't want to arch your lower back. You want to just kind of tuck that tailbone underneath to keep your torso and your thighs in alignment. You should be in one straight line from your knees all the way up to your shoulders. You know, all of this should be one straight line. And you do that with proper crown to coccyx alignment. With your core, you want to focus on a strong core contraction during the pulling portion of the exercise. So you're going to contract this entire core set of muscle, including your glutes. Get your thighs active to initiate the pull. And you're going to combine this with a forceful exhale out of your mouth. So when you're about to initiate the pull, you're going to exhale out of your mouth and contract your entire core musculature. And then slowly lower yourself down under control, relax a little bit, passively inhale into your lungs, exhale up. Inhale back down. And again, you're contracting the entire core musculature, including your glutes and thighs, to create stability and to assist with the power generation of the exercise. With your legs, you can do different things, and it depends on what level you're at. But basically, there's two different techniques. You can either keep your knees bent like this, or you can keep your knees locked out straight. Keep your knees bent. Make sure that your feet have a midfoot balance and your knees are stacked vertically over your feet. You don't want your knees to bend in or out. You want to keep them basically perpendicular to the ground, pressing straight down into the ground with your feet. If you keep your knees straight, then you want to lock your knees, contracting your quads, and pointing your toes throughout the full range of motion, and just maintain that. So what else is there? I already covered the range of motion. You want to make sure you get in the top position. Your elbows should be fully flexed, shoulder blades fully retracted, elbows in tight to your sides, core contracted. In the bottom position, you want your elbows fully locked, shoulder blades slightly relaxed, still maintain that lengthened spine. And then you just pull yourself right back up, lower down under control. You want to avoid rounding or arching your lower back. You want to avoid letting your elbows flare out to the sides. What else? Don't hold your breath. Don't flex or extend your neck. Those are the basics of the body weight row, also known as the inverted row. Fairly simple exercise. You know, once you get it down, it's basically just a pulling movement, a rowing movement. And it's a super great exercise. I've been a big fan of it for many years. Really good exercise, especially for you guys who do a lot of pressing exercises, push-ups, dips, bench press. It helps to balance things out because a lot of people tend to be overtrained in those pressing movements as compared to the pulling movements. And so it complements those really well. Great way to lower your risk of injury by just balancing things out. So yeah, I could probably talk about this for a long time, but I should probably cut the video right about here. So thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate your time. If this video was helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If it wasn't, please give me a thumbs down and I'll know, or at least I'll have some feedback on how I can improve the videos in the future. So thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.